Today's video is brought to you by World of Warships. It's been 18 years since the release of Desert Treasure 1, and Jagex have just released Part 2, which comes with a whole lot of new content, including the unlock of 4 brand new bosses. All 4 bosses have a unique drop table, including a few noteworthy items. The Virtus Mage Robes, 4 new separate ring components, which upgrade the previous Dagonoth King rings. The Soul Reaper Axe, which is made up from 4 untradeable components, 1 from each boss, which is sellable once completed. And to top it off, the reason why I'm so interested in these bosses, the new Blood Torva, which can only be received once completing each of the 4 bosses in their Awakened Hard mode. And there we go, that is Desert Treasure 2 completed. I think it took us about 6.5 hours. Jagex have announced the Awakened bosses are on their way. So in the meantime, I'm gonna test all of the bosses on regular and kill them all 100 times. All 4 of the bosses drop Virtus at an extremely rare drop rate. Each boss drops an untradeable piece of the Soul Reaper Axe, and each boss drops a different vestige, used to upgrade the Dagonoth King rings. Now do bear in mind, this is day 1 footage, and at the time I just spent 6 hours spacebarring the quest, skipping some key details. Jesus Christ. 4KC, the Sacred Tablet. Okay, that is actually huge for killing this boss. You can now teleport to the Ancient Vault, and the Scar is what we just unlocked. Let's see where this takes us. That's so nice, I don't need to use the Necklace of Passage anymore. Did this thing just drop an easy clue scroll? This definitely seems to be the way. And I don't know what this white orb is doing, but I love it. And do you know what else I love? Warships. World of Warships is a free-to-play game available on PC, with new content released every month from new ships from various nations, in-game cosmetics, which can all be enjoyed inside their 12v12 arenas. And for this month only, you can battle as characters from Azur Lane and take on the seas with their newly released themed skins. The game has stunning graphics with more than 40 unique maps, multiple ship classes to choose from, where you can conquer the seas with history's most iconic battleships, destroyers, aircraft carriers, and even submarines. And if that's not enough, the game has an amazing community which you can participate in tournaments, discussions on their active forums and Discord, and even tune into the live streams. And did I mention this game is also available on console? If you like the sound of this awesome free-to-play game, click the first link in my description and start conquering the seas today. And make sure you use my promo code on screen now to receive a huge starter pack with tons of goodies, including 5 days of premium account time. After a unforgiving learning curve, I managed to get the hang of things. Since the release of these bosses, Jagex has now confirmed the drop mechanics are slightly different from what we've had before. If you manage to kill the bosses without taking any unnecessary damage, excluding the special attacks, you will earn 50% more loot from the standard drop table. Although, with this being said, they haven't yet confirmed if doing badly decreases the loot. And I'm no Sherlock Holmes, but I do have my suspicions.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
Alright, first kill of the day, boys. I think this is a part of the Soul Reaper Axe. Wow, we actually got something on the first KC. So we did manage to get the Leviathan's Lure and the 100 kills we did, which is a piece of the Soul Reaper Axe. Now, unfortunately, I can't really do anything with it. It's untradeable. I effectively have to get the other 3 pieces now for it to be useful in any way. Nonetheless, it is nice to get something. As for the overall loot here, it was pretty bad. And I don't know if that's because my conspiracy theory is correct, or if Leviathan just has really weak drops. But overall, the boss is incredibly fun to kill, with some really cool mechanics, with a ton of different setups you can use to take on the boss. This is going to be our home for the next 100 KC. The next boss I decided to camp was the Whisperer. A common theme that you'll notice with all of these bosses is there's a harsh learning curve, which is probably one of my favorite things, because to truly grind these bosses out, you have to commit to the learning of the attack styles, boss mechanics, and the special attacks, which all 4 of the bosses have. Nice. No. 6KC! The Virtus robe top, there is no way. Oh, look at it. I guess I should probably go and throw that in the Grand Exchange. 87 mil. We will take it. Cashing in on the new update. We have the tablet. We don't need to use the lasso teleports anymore. The ceramic tablet going into the Ring of Shadows. Where does this take us? Into the Undercity? Oh, that teleport's so cool. That's so nice. Oh, what is it? The Awakener's Orb. I'm gonna have to look this up real quick. At the time of recording, the hard mode bosses hadn't yet been released into the game, and the Awakener's Orb is the key that allows you to do an attempt. And trust me when I say this, we're gonna need a lot of these. Something that I quickly learnt at this place is the drops are really good. This could be because I was able to get almost perfect kills most of the time, giving me 50% more common table loot. But to me, it just seems like the physical items dropped here are of a higher value, at least when compared to the Leviathan. Oh, that's new. Chromium ingot. I have no idea what this is. A dense clump of corroded metal. To keep it short, you need 3 of these and 1 of the vestiges to forge the new rings. What is that? No way. We just got back-to-back uniques. The Shadow Quartz. I don't know if that might be useful at the Leviathan boss. Look at this for an inventory. The quartz and an ingot. The RNG is popping off today. 42 rune ore. That is a banging drop. 467k. Here it is. The 100 kills on the Whisperer. I really hope we get the tab early on this one because it is quite a way to trek. Next up, we'll be killing the Dorvis. It's our second kill. It only took 1 attempt. I think I'm going to swap out for the Blood Fury for the time being, just to make my time here a little bit more easy. For the very first time, it seems like Runelight is actually updated. We're actually going to be able to see what we get from these 100 kills, because unfortunately the last 2 bosses haven't been updated yet. Okay, that's nice. Only 15 KC. They've made these really easy to get, and that's so nice to see. See where it goes? Yeah, that's nice. Okay, I'd say that's pretty good. First death on our 23rd attempt. I would say this boss feels easier than the previous 2 that I've done. We didn't manage to get anything unique, but that is 100 KC at the Darvis. The loot was pretty good. It was better than the Leviathan, but definitely not as good as the Whisperer, which means there's only 1 boss left to kill. 7 mithril chain bodies. Oh no. There we go. 10 KC. The final teleport tablet has been achieved. That means we have every single teleport to all of these bosses. I've actually heard that this one is really useful for killing the Phantom Moosefat as well. This is the exact location that the ring brings us to. Dragon arrow tips. That's the first time I've had those as a drop from any of the bosses. I've died 3 times, and it's been to those on the side every time. Oh, I don't have the patience for this. So after killing Duke 100 times, I would say the drop table's actually pretty decent. If I had to order them from worst loot to best, it would probably be Leviathan, followed by Vidorvis, then Duke, and the obvious best being the Whisperer. Although I did manage to hit the Dragon Plate Leg table 3 times in these 100 kills, which if you're wondering is roughly a 1 in 100 chance to do so, and we even managed to get an Awakener's Orb, I would say we did pretty good here. We've done 100 kills at each boss, and now it's time to go and take them on in the hard mode. Oh, and by the way, each one of these is worth 2.5 mil, costing me just over 187 mil. Now, to really understand this boss encounter, I'm gonna try to dissect it as simply as possible. And to do that, I'm actually gonna be starting at the end of the fight, because everything you do leading up to the Enraged phase will heavily dictate how smooth it can be. At the final 20% of the boss's health, you enter the Enraged phase. There's going to be fallen debris everywhere, which will damage you if it lands on you. A white tornado, which would have spawned at 50% health, which will do a harsh chunk of damage should you be hit by it. And of course, the most pressing matter, the boss is going to be attacking you with range and mage spells every 1 tick. I'm alive. How? How am I alive? With the only saving grace being the Holy White Orb which spawns, which in short makes you do more damage and take less damage, and is crucial to benefit from the effects of if you want to stand a chance of killing the boss. With all of this information, knowing that you have to walk to keep up with the Holy Orb, while 1 tick prayer flicking the boss, which will hit you upwards of 50 damage if you get a prayer wrong, and also keeping your distance from the Death Tornado, hopefully this paints a picture which leaves no room in your mind for a shit ton of boulders obstructing your pathway.
I like that boulder. That is a nice boulder.
Which neatly brings us to the previous boulder phases you would have done leading up to this part of the kill. You want to hope that you didn't fuck it up. Because leading up to the final phase, using this method, you can expect to have to have placed up to 6 boulder phases, which when done correctly, will leave you with a perfect path that you can walk along with no obstructions. Next up is the lightning phase, which is pretty simple. Pick one of the side tiles to start on and attack the boss, and then don't attack until you reach the other end. There's an extra step added once the tornado spawns in at 50%, which just requires you to step outside of its line of pathing every other turn, and you continue attacking the boss on the same tiles. And finally, the last part of progression for this boss is understanding that you get to control the fight. And you do this by using Shadow Barrage. And if done correctly, it means that you can minimize the amount of time that you are physically attacked by the boss, with the exception of the Rage phase at the final 20%. Which means that once you've mastered the boulder placement and lightning movement, you can pretty much guarantee a shot at the Enrage phase every attempt. But do not worry, it took me quite some time to get to this stage. We did it! Oh, we fucking did it! I got a chromium ingot as well. That took 3 hours of non-stop attempts. I think I may have done that in under 30 attempts. And we've got 51 awakened orbs left. Second awakened boss, and I have yet again forgotten something, but we are going to be doing Vodorvis. This is the setup that we are going to be going for. I may end up changing out for a Blood Fury, and I may end up changing the ring to a Light Bearer, but we have the Karasi now for spec. It's supposed to be absolutely insane here. Although I managed to kill arguably the hardest awakened boss in less than 30 attempts, let me assure you that wasn't the case for this guy. For the awakened Vodorvis, there are a few things to note. Firstly, you now take serious damage from standing where the axes pop out of the ground. If you are unfortunate enough to be hit by a flying axe off prayer, it can hit you up to 96 damage. Higher may be possible, but that's my personal best. The weird looking hats on sticks now do range and mage attacks, which will both eventually spawn at the same time, and you have to pray flick one tick apart, and the boss's basic melee attack can now hit over 50s, and the spike phase now does pretty big damage too. Oh, and did I mention? There's even more axes now. And when you put all of these things together, the outcome is this. That was the first time getting below 20%. This is going to take a couple attempts. I just need to get used to the tempo. You've got so many axes coming at you and you have to mage pray, range pray. 8.4%. Okay, that's pretty good. I made a couple too many mistakes there in the middle. I'm getting destroyed right now. 5%! It was so good. I can feel the progression. This was the moment that I messed up. The full sense of hope and progression were easily subdued by my overwhelming tiredness. And trust me, when you do nothing for 6 hours but continuously try to kill this boss, call it a sign of my old age if you want, but it's pretty fucking tiring. I'm about to get 6 hour logged. We only have 1 orb remaining. Which means I've died doing this over 50 times. I'm gonna have to sell something in here. Probably gonna be my Inquisitor set. I've had to do it 175 mil. And I've bought 50 more orbs. New day today. I'm going to be trying again. This time, if I end up getting really tired, I'm not going to continue to rage send. Instead, I'm going to try the other bosses. I also, if you're wondering, I had to sell my Zarite crossbow. And a good night's sleep seemed to do the trick. Today, I was actually able to do the things that my brain was trying to tell my fingers to do. But this time, they were actually listening. Let me explain a few important things that I learned from killing this boss. If you want to kill this boss in a relatively short and affordable time, then you have to throw all of your default gamer knowledge out of the window. Unlike most other bosses in the game where eating food, healing yourself, or praying correctly will save you pretty much 99% of the time, here, it doesn't really matter because there's no amount of food that's going to save you from its combo, which means you need to reprioritize how you kill this boss. And the way you do that is by prioritizing movement over everything else. Because the reality of this boss is, you can survive having your prayers knocked off and taking a few basic attacks from the boss, but you can't survive being hit by the axes. And when you think about it, this is a very foreign concept to us RuneScape players, because since Tutorial Island and throughout the rest of the game, we are wired instinctively to eat food as a priority to survive. But here, you just have to accept that you're gonna get hit, and in some scenarios you can't immediately eat your food or put your prayers back on if you want to kill the boss. And that's probably why I found this boss the most difficult out of all of them, because it forces you to do things that you just usually wouldn't do. And for that reason, I love this boss, but I would strongly advise against doing this for 6 hours in one go, because after that 6 hour session, my brain was hollow. Oh my god, it's so low. Come on. Yes! Fuck yes! 120 mind runes. Oh my goodness. Do you know how much this cost me? I don't know how many attempts that took. It was well over 60, possibly close to 70. I wasted so much money yesterday. I should have stopped. I should have gone outside. I should have touched grass. I should have just taken my mind away from this place. 2 down, 2 left to go. Time to kill the Awakened Duke. I think we're just gonna send it. I think out of all of the Awakened bosses, this one here has the biggest improvement over its basic form. Unlike the normal version, where 99% of the time you spend it behind the pillar, flinching the boss, the Awakened version forces you out into the open. And would you have it, just like the other bosses, it requires you to learn the mechanics.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa!
That's too damn bad!
Oh my god, I wasn't recording! I'm so bad! It was a horrible kill. That is all you need to know. All we have left now is the Whisperer, which is my favorite out of all of these bosses. I've not killed this boss in a good couple days now. I'm gonna go straight in for the Awakens, and hopefully it goes well. It's a lot like the regular version, but there are a few differences. The tentacle patterns are now a little bit more difficult. It just means that you have less options to be able to get out from. There are more ghosts on the ghost phase, some of which are stood apart, so you'll have to kill some of them with the Venator bow and the others with a blowpipe. The green balls are the exact same, and probably the most difficult part is you now need to memorize at least 2 of the 3 pillar phases, or you will go insane before you make it to the enraged phase. And when you get to the enraged phase, the only difference is there's more tentacles, and her basic attacks change from range to mage each attack. There we go. The Ancient Blood Ornament Kit. I'm gonna go and have a look real quick to see if there's a way to check my KC for the awakened bosses. It took me 4 attempts on the Whisperer, 9 attempts on the Duke, 70 attempts on the Dorvis, definitely the most painful, and 25 KC for the Leviathan. However, the scoreboards do not include times that you teleported out. After selling off all of the base loot that I got from 100 KC in all 4 of the bosses, we made around 26 mil. On top of that, we did manage to strike gold with the Virtus Robe Top, selling for 87 mil, bringing our total made to 113 mil. In total, I spent 387 mil on orbs and death costs, but with the 113 mil that we made from the bosses subtracted to this cost, it brings the... too much information. I don't need to give a fucking math class here. And if I take away the profit I made, it brings the overall cost down to 274 mil. But the real question here is, do you think it was worth it? Because I sure as hell do. And make sure you use the promo code on screen in World of Warships to get your freebies.